this is Pam with ROC Metaphysical. It's been a bit in time, but we're back at it. So if you haven't seen any of the videos, this is about an interview that's going to be on my YouTube channel and also the magazine. So the magazine is ROC Metaphysical.com. So if you search that, just ROC Metaphysical, it's all one word. It's a monthly magazine. It's only online, and I have writers from all over the world that contribute their articles for free because they feel so strongly about the information that they're sharing that they're willing to just give me the articles so I can post them up. So the first of each month, and July is coming right around the corner. So we're going to stay tuned for Andrea, who is going to be a writer for the magazine, and she has an article for the July issue that's coming out. So as I said, we've got Andrea here. So Andrea, hi.
Hi.
So I'm in Rochester, New York. I guess I should say why the magazine is ROC, because it's like the airport call letters. And I like simplicity, and that's why I picked it. Andrea was from the Rochester area, but now lives down in Florida. And so we have a friend in common and said, you should talk to this girl and find out more about her and what she does. And your tagline is the nurse medium, right? So explain, you have a very diverse background. So do we talk about how you came into your gifts first and then go with the nursing after?
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
So, again, I am from upstate New York. I grew up in a small town up there called Webster, New York, and I'm going to be coming back soon, so we'll talk about that later. But currently, I'm living in Fort Myers, Florida. It's mostly sunny, not so much this time of year. But so basically, coming into my gifts. So I remember growing up in that hometown and being in my parents' master bedroom, and I look up in the mirror, and right behind me is this person, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and of course I turn it off, and I'm like, oh, scared, and I was like, so we do that as kids, that developmental age of being like probably right around 8ish, 9ish maybe. I was not going to have that. I was like, nope, not going to be in my life. So, but it kept happening, and it would happen over and over again. And I would tease that it's almost like you would hear messages, and it was almost like I would tease that it would be like being like a functional schizophrenic because these things kept happening, but they kept getting stronger. So, fast forward in life, I would, you have your parties that you go to, and it became like what people would consider like maybe a party trick, but they'd be like, but whoa, how does she know that? And I'd be like, I don't know. And then, fast forward in life, people start to tell you, such as like your parental units, that would be like, no, you shouldn't do that. Don't say that, that could get you put away, And so I kind of tuned it back out and said, all right, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And I would tune it out, but it would still come through. And so I would just kind of muffle it. Fast forward a little bit more, my first husband, he was like, so like, yes, you need to, get more into this, find out why this is happening. And we moved to Southwest Florida, and I, found my soul tribe here and some people that really were able to help me understand that this was a gift versus a, hey, keep that hush hush, So fast forward again, I'm on to my second marriage and I meet this person. He's a firefighter, and just completely, I asked him, I said, well, what's your, belief system in psychic mediums? And he goes, "Pah, they're charlatans." Well, I just thought, oh my gosh, well, he's still so cute and he's a firefighter, so it's fine. We'll stay together. Well, about 2 weeks after our meeting, he developed pancreatic cancer. And so in our room one night, I wake up and this person's pacing back and forth in our bedroom, and Mark's sound asleep, and the person tells me their name, how they passed, like this is a car accident, blah blah blah. And I was like, huh. And I was like, well, he's a firefighter. Like, do you know him from this? And they're like, no, 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 no. Like, he knows me. Just please tell him this is Lou, and I died in this car crash. Tell him. So now he wakes up and I start crying because I thought, well, am I supposed to tell him? Because he's not a believer. And he's like, just tell me. So I tell him the story. And now he gets up and he's about as white as the wall behind me. And he says, how do you know that? He goes, there's no way you would know that. And tell my ex-girlfriend to get out of her bedroom. And I said, what? He goes, I go, it doesn't work like that. He goes, but now he had been diagnosed with cancer. So he says, is she here for me? Like, am I going to die? Like, is she coming here for me? And I said, no, 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 no. I said, she just really wanted you to know that she was present. He goes, there's no way that you would have known that. He goes, but that was the love of my life in high school. And I thought, wow, like that's pretty wild that this person came through to me, and that's really cool. So let's fast forward further. Mark is in the process of passing away. We're in the hospice room. It's during COVID. None of us are supposed to be in there except for me, right? But it was divine intervention, somehow divine planning, where everybody was present, his sisters and his mom. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there talking to his sister, and Mark had been nonverbal for like 3 days. And all of a sudden, it felt like Mark had stood up and was right in my ear and said, babe, look up. And I look up, and me being a nurse, that's hashtag the nurse medium, I look over and I see that this isn't moving anymore. So I go over and I hit the call button. I feel his heartbeat. But what really took place in that moment was that I was so wowed by was that the whole room just felt like it was like shattered glass that turned into diamonds on the floor, and the whole left side of the room shifted. And then I heard Mark's voice again, and it said, please use your gifts. And I just thought, there's no way, not doing it. So anyway, fast forward a couple days later after the funeral and everything, I'm still in the dress, hadn't showered in days, and I go into my favorite, metaphysical store that I have down here, and I walk in, and the owner's husband says, you're going to read for my wife tomorrow. And I said, and he goes, plus you need to get out of that, go brush your teeth and get out of that nasty dress. And so I said, oh gosh, I go, there's no way. And he goes, no, you need to. And that became my journey on actually understanding that this is a true gift, and how I can truly help people reconnect with their loved ones, because I know what it's like to lose somebody that you love so much, and to be able to have gone to a medium that was able to help me reconnect. And I always had the gift. I always knew. I was always talking to people. Even in nursing school, like a friend of mine had lost her dad, and he came through, and I never knew him. She never talked about him, but he came through and he told me how he passed and all of these things. So as this guided me on my journey into nursing, I always knew that nursing held a very near and dear place in my heart. There was something about it, but there was interesting because I always was somehow in a room where somebody passed away, and all the time. Even though every home I ever owned, believe it or not, my own homes that I owned over the course of the time that I moved into, my very first home in Webster that I moved into all on my own, I moved there because the person passed away and that home opened up. I moved to Florida. Somebody passed away. So the home opened up. The home I live in now that I own, person passed away. So there's obviously a connection there. I've always felt their energy. I've always embraced their energy when I decide to like paint the front door or whatever it is. So anyways, back to nursing. I was always in these rooms with people that would pass. I was an oncology nurse, trauma, ICU, all of these things, but there was always somebody passing. And for some reason, like they would come off the floor, and it would be like, even during COVID, and I would be in the room with the actively dying patient. And I thought to myself, there's got to be a reason that this person's energy is speaking to me. I knew that I had to be there. And then it became not just that I had to be there, but it became an honor to be there, because after their soul left, they would come back and talk to me. Then their family members, when it wasn't COVID, would come back, and I would be interacting with them, and they'd be like, how did you know that? And it was almost like should I have said that? But they would always find comfort or closure or whatever it was in that situation. And for me, it helped me in that moment when my Mark passed too. So fast forward again, I start dabbling in it, but still wasn't like, ooh, I should be doing this. And then I meet the husband that I'm with now. And he has been such a support in understanding. Maybe he doesn't understand all of it, but he's been so supportive in being like, this is a gift. You need to utilize this gift. So in nursing, now I have my own private practice. Um, and I work with mental health. And what I've noticed is that the minute somebody comes to me with something, it's almost like the guides and maybe even sometimes people that were connected to them tell me the tools that I'm going to need for this person even before I take the tool out of the bag, so to speak, in order to deliver to them. So I feel that it's a double mission having this gift because it really ties together with what I do for a living as well. And it's such a beautiful thing and such an honor because, like, we come into this world on a path. We may know it, we may not. And then people come to me for this guidance on this path, whether it's through nursing, whether it's through mediumship, whether it's foreclosure, whatever it may be. So it really tied the two together for me into this like beautiful package. And I'm really, I guess, over the last, couple years, I've really been able to come out of the closet, so to speak, as to be able to be like, yeah, you know what, I am a nurse, but I'm also a psychic medium. And it was really hard because you have these credentials that they stamp you with, right? And it's like, oh, I worked so hard for this. And the other thing I have to say is I also worked hard for mediumship, even though I feel that this gift was given to me since birth. Thinking back, you know, previously before the 9-year-old moment, it just really was like, wow, this is a gift. And I need to pair the two somehow. And so it really just became in being open and saying, this is who I am. And here we are here today. So it all panned out.
So you do regular, just, I don't want to call it plain old, but if somebody wanted to get a reading, which,
Mhm,
we call when you go and so you sit with someone and you can tune in and realize the family members or friends, whoever's passed, and they're on what we say the other side,
mhm,
you can hopefully pick up on any connections in that way. But you also bring to the table, you're an RN,
mhm,
and then prior to turning the button on, you do EMDR,
mhm,
which I know what that is. So you work with clients and it's using um, your eyes and your brain and
mhm,
like kind of retuning your brain kind of
mhm,
thing. And I know you have some other words at the end of your name. So I mean, you must be certified in a couple different things
mhm,
in the medical area.
mhm.
So I don't know if you want to clarify that. So I mean,
Yeah. Absolutely. So I do have lots of credentials. I don't even list all of them behind my name because it starts to sound like as my husband would say, like it sounds like a law firm after with all these credentials. So I typically just utilize the ones that play a role in what I do here primarily. So I actually have a couple different jobs that I dabble in. So I do oversee clinics for the school district locally here, which is really neat. I train clinic assistants to take care of the kiddos in our schools. So that's been an amazing thing. But with that really got me into my own private practice was doing mental health. So we're a big part, the nurses play a big part in their mental health teams at these schools. And for kids, it's tough, especially in Southwest Florida. I mean, we're in primarily a retirement area. So we're really big advocates for these children in mental health. But some of the other things that I use is neuro linguistics practitioning. So it's like retraining the mindset to a more positive mindset. And that's again retraining the brain. The EMDR aspect is eye movement rapid desensitization reprocessing. And the reason that's so important to me is because that really helps people with trauma. And we've all been through something traumatic, and it doesn't matter whether if you think it's a car accident or whether your boyfriend broke up with you, that's still a traumatic experience, right? Or maybe just becoming a psychic medium is traumatic for you. So it's whatever it plays a role in. But what it can do is really we reset the brain. We pair it with a negative cognition and a positive cognition, and basically, like you said, retrain it so that these things don't come up as triggers because we hold these triggers in the back of our brain, right? Especially if they're things that happened to us when we were in a certain developmental ages. So if let's say we're age 9, and I'd say some of our good memories are like the little paired up like ones. There was a movie that just came out. I think it was Inside Out, where it talks about all the different emotions, right? So memories are paired up with different emotions. So think of all of the traumatic memories look like little C's, and then the happy memories look like O's. They're tied up, they're pretty in their package, and they're set in those little spots in the brain. And when they light up, they're happy and yay, joy, right? Now, the ones that are traumatic are like C's. So think of it as like a kid and you're being force fed something that you don't like. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to spit it out, right? And that's the trigger is what's coming in. What you're spitting out is the reaction to that trigger. So what we do with EMDR is we pair it and then we kind of close those in to give you that pause. So it works really great with first responder families. I always tease because I told my late husband, no firefighters, no cops. So it's a long-standing joke, and I actually have had another medium tell me that that your late husband sent you the sheriff, right? so um, but we are all surrounded by trauma. So, I mean, I worked in trauma. I worked in ICU. I've been around a lot of death and dying. And so, and there's been trauma in my childhood. So pairing those things up, EMDR was just such a huge tool for myself to realize all of these things that were coming up for me that were like really, playing a huge negative role in my relationships, whether it be work relationships, intimate relationships. And it helped me really tie things together. And I think that it really also helped expand my mind when helping my clients, but not just clients that were here for mental health, but also the clients that were here for guidance. So they say you learn from your journey, right? It just depends on how you want to learn. So I definitely have those tools. I'm also a mental health first aid responder. So people that are in those traumatic experiences, part of the CIT, which is the Crisis Interventional Team internationally, a member of that, being around first responders. I work with a lot of first responders and their families, because the reality is what they see every day. I mean, I hear the stories from my own husband when he comes home, and sometimes even the energies that he brings home on that uniform. I'll tell you, I can definitely pick up on that if he's been around a death. So, so there's a lot of things. I'm sure I'm forgetting some of the credentials, but that's kind of in the nutshell of really what I do.
Well, I mean, I like people to understand that from my perspective, because I know so many people who are psychic mediums, and some people get a bad reputation, or one bad one ruins it for everybody. That there are a lot of psychic mediums that have trainings, with psychic mediumship, and also other things that they bring to the table. So when someone comes for like a reading, and you have these different things where you can assist when maybe they're sad that someone has passed, and that you have additional tools to go along with, recognizing the person that's passed, and you can hear them or see, everybody has different ways of tuning into the person that's passed over. That I think it just is such a wonderful way to help someone when you can offer, oh, I can see Uncle Bob, he's talking, but then you can also help the person to come to grips with the person that's passed. And I've seen many times that people come because they're so worried that when the person passed, they still think that they're in pain. If it was a long-standing illness, or it was a sudden, heart attack or a car accident, and they're still thinking that they're in some horrible place and that they're just reliving the trauma of whatever it was that happened. And so that's me on my soapbox, that you're offering a lot of help, and you're bringing good qualities to the table. So, you're hopefully, helping people understand that you are here to help. And 99% of the psychic mediums are trying to help and make people understand what's happened. When they cross over, they're still here, but just in a different way.
Yes,
So
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So you wrote an article, and so we want to tease it a little bit. So I went people, if you want to just kind of talk a little bit about the article, because you do help them, people, the readers, understand about your gifts and what is a psychic medium.
Hmm. So I love the article for I love the article's background behind it. I tried to make this an article that even if you aren't in the spiritual realm, but or maybe you're like interested in knowing a little bit more, or whether you are all in, maybe you are a psychic medium. The thing is that I want to drive home is that there's enough room for all of us. Right? There's so many of us out there, and everybody's like, well, aren't you like a little jealous that somebody else could have wrote an article or that somebody else is a psychic medium in the area? And I'm like, no, definitely not, because what I bring to the table is going to be my energy, right? What somebody else is going to bring to the table might be the energy that that other person may need. So, of course, we're all so diverse that we all read from a different place too, right? You could have two psychic mediums in the same room and be reading totally different. Like, use Tyler Henry, for example. He does like a sketching or something like that, right, on a notepad. For me, it just comes in. It's almost like it comes in and comes out. It's like I'm just a conduit. So, and we're all so different. You could have like the next medium that just has something very different. So for me, I wanted to kind of explain a little bit of how this article, of how it comes through to me, and how when people are either in the moment of passing, and then they're trying to channel through me, I'm just the conduit here. So when I bring in that divine channel, a lot of times the first thing they do to validate who they are is to show me how they passed. Well, in the beginning, that was interesting because at first, the first person that showed me how they passed without being a visual, they showed me, and I'll never forget it because I was like, am I having a heart attack? But I knew it wasn't me. And then it was almost like they immediately split off and was like, no, this is just your pain body. And I'm like, what the heck is that? So I started to think, and then I started getting into yoga, and I started getting into meditation. And I really, through that practice, I really understood that there's your astral body, there's your different planes. And so I was actually just talking to somebody about it today, that when I open up that divine channel, because I do turn it off sometimes to the best of my abilities, because you have to, right? In some circumstances. But when I open up that channel, it's almost like there's all these layers. Think of like layers in a cake, but they're being like 20. And all of those layers are the different layers of your body. So you have, or even just think of it as just the chakras for those of us that might not better understand the planes. So you think you have all these chakras or all these planes, and you have to open them all up to allow this person to come in. So that's basically what I do. I create a sacred space. I, let them know that nothing of low vibrations welcome here, because I don't work with that. If somebody else wants to, that's fine, but that's not my forte. And really create a sacred space, protect the energy around us, and allow those levels to open. And what it feels like is like running up 20 stairs all at once. And then I allow them to come in, and then they come down the stairs into the channel and out the mouth, right? So they'll come in and they'll hit what I like to call the pain body, because we're reading from that, like maybe that theta state or that astral body, which is like up here for people that like think of it as like an out of body experience in a sense, but yet you're grounded and you're here. But the pain body for me is really how my mediumship is. So I wanted people that, again, if they understand it or they don't, they could maybe better understand where I'm coming from. So when that happens and I open up that channel, if somebody has passed from kidney failure, typically, or I'll hear a name, but typically they will show me first. Why I get that lovely gift, I guess that's just lucky me. So I'll either feel pain, like I did a reading once, and this person, I could feel pain in my kidneys, and I was like, this person passed of kidney failure, they're a male or they're a female, and this is how they passed. Or they'll cut something off. Like I had a client earlier today, and it was their somebody who'd come through for them, and I think of readings as HIPAA too, so I try to say it without like who they are and all of those things, because I think that's a very private, sacred thing, right? So they just had, there was pain in this area, but I at first I was like, is this heart? And then they shifted right to the lungs, and their lungs just filled up like with fluid. And I explained it to them, and I said, I'm sorry that this is the way they come through, but this is the way they come through to me. So it's opening up that pain body, but understanding when it's your pain versus emotional pain. Because in the think of this as in, if we were going to be like, we're all earth beings, right? These are our vessels. Inside the vessel is our energy field. So when somebody passes, I say, think of this as like you have a zipper and you just undo the zipper and then the energy leaves. But so it's like the vessel sheds off, but the energy is always still there. That's why past lives exist. And I know before we hopped on here, I was explaining even like DNA sequencing. So we have like a DNA chain, right? And it's all those little spirals, but around that is that fluid. And if we think about this as like the concrete truck driving down 590, we'll use 590 for up there, because for people that understand that, and it's mixing, right? So we're still, that energy of the mixing creates the energy and creates all those particles of all the people. And we're primarily water bodies, right? We have mucous membranes and everything. So those particles from, whether it be a dad's energy, whether it be like from 100 years ago, dear Aunt Sally's energy, or literally the particles, if you want to look at this from a scientific standpoint, they can extract that fluid just like you would do for ancestry DNA. And they'll be able to pinpoint, like, scientists, of where it needs to go. And I feel like spirit acts the same way. And the reason I'm a huge believer in that is because we have, like, we talk about twin souls, where they come into utero, right? And two eggs split and they become twin souls. And when we have people that have that magnetic energy, it feels like it's like a reconnect. A lot of times that's a twin soul energy. So all of it, it's just energy going back and forth. But we have to get into those planes, right? So we have to understand pain at this level. Like, if I'm having a heart attack, I will feel heart pain, right? But I'll understand that something's wrong, something's going on. But with the pain body, we can actually feel the out of body experience. We can actually feel others' pain. Like, and a lot of people that are what we call empaths, they pick up on energy, whether that be physical, emotional. And a lot of times emotional energy will impact our actual physical pain body, right? Stress, you experience a trauma, you may actually feel like a panic attack, which might feel like a heart attack. You may have your breath cut off. So if the more that we understand our body and we become more in tune with our body, we honestly can open up these channels. Anybody can be intuitive. Everybody, at least in my belief system, that we all have the capability of being intuitive. It's just a matter of what we're willing to tap into. So whether you can visually see, whether you are feeling, whether you're hearing, I have a lot of different things. Sometimes I feel like if I get a yes answer, my whole left arm will get really cold if the spirit gives me a yes. Otherwise, they'll literally talk to me, or they will physically show themselves, or they will show me what almost feels like the remember the photo booths? I don't know if we still have them in the malls, but like the little photo booths, and it's like these little pictures. It's almost like that's what happens. It's like a download. But I feel that that's why meditation exists. So we can better understand those planes. We can move into that. We can astro travel through our sleep, right? If we're willing to open up that plane or that channel. So that's basically what the article is about, a little bit, without giving it all away, but it mostly will focus on that pain body. So yeah, take a look at it. It gives a little bit of insight on how you can open up that area. And you can always check things out. Right now I'm my website's being worked on, and I post things, but I do a lot on my Facebook and Instagram. I do a lot of lives, kind of tapping into these things, and how we can tap in, or if I'm just feeling something in the moment. I know that, like, sometimes I'll get a download of like, oh, there's this person that needs to know this, and I'll just be like, let me hop on live and like share this, and I did that recently, and I had a huge comeback of like, wow, like, I was feeling that too, or wow, I've always wondered about that. So I just thought that this article would be something as a good insight from if a nurse reads it that doesn't even believe in mediumship, he or she will still understand the pain body.
Right. So I think it's a good article and it helps to understand how you work and operate. And it is kind of, we were talking before, being like a medical intuitive kind of like you can sense, the person who's passed, what if they have medical problems and or the person you're sitting with. You might also be able to tune into that.
Absolutely.
So you said your new website will be coming. And that information will be on your article on the bottom. So if people want to find out more about you, they can go to that website. Also, you're on Facebook, which you're under Facebook, the Nurse Medium.
Yes. So I think it's like, what do they call it? Like the @ symbol is Nurse Medium on Facebook, and then Instagram is it's the_nurse_medium. And I do post things just about every day. I'm doing a lot more lives. You can definitely see like where I am throughout the US. I'm not just in Florida, because obviously I'll be coming up to upstate New York, which I'm super pumped about.
Right. So you have a list of where you're going to be. So you want to say where the places that you're going to be?
Yes. Let me pull these up here because I can't remember all the places. All right. So on July 21st, I'm going to be at Artesian Elements. Hopefully I'm saying that right. And that is in Homer, New York.
Yes, a very large metropolis of Homer.
So much fun. And these are all going to involve mediumship. So do know that all of these events will involve some sort of mediumship. There are some events that are going to have a little bit of meditation involved. I always start the dialogue by really bringing in spirit through a short guided meditation and protecting our space. The next event is going to be at Healthy Manor in Baldwinsville, New York.
It's a very nice location. I've been there.
I've never been there, so I'm really excited about that. And then the next event is going to be in my hometown. So excited. Healthy Alternatives, and that is in Rochester, New York.
Yep, it's over near Durant Park. It's another nice location.
I'm so excited for that. And then we are headed over to Canastota, New York, and that's going to be the Practical Magic event. So that is going to still involve mediumship. But if anybody has ever seen the movie Practical Magic, there's a lot of that is one of my favorite movies for a lot of reasons. But there's going to be a little bit of some sprinkle of magic in there, so to speak. So definitely kind of check that out. That's going to be
so fun. That location is called the Magical Muse.
Yes, Magical Muse. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's a very cute store.
I'm excited to go there because I heard that there's a lot of witchy energy there. So that's exciting. I'm excited to go to all these events. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am so excited. I just think like being a medium and a nurse is better than any paycheck. I just go because it's so rewarding to be able to do both of the like so-called jobs. If you find something that you truly love, it's not a job.
Exactly.
It's amazing. It's like I still come home crying sometimes or just wowed by even the gift alone, just being wowed by it, going, wow, like I maybe I'm just humble. I don't know. But I just sit there and some days I'm just like, how is this? Why do I have this gift? But thank you. Thank you for giving me this gift, because it's just, I feel like it helps so many people. And it's funny that it's a double mission, because I feel like it also helps me in my soul. So thank you all that are coming and all of the things. But back onto this, the next venue will be Serenity Wellness, and that's in Auburn, New York.
That's another good store.
Yay! I think that's up by kind of near Syracuse, right?
Right. It's another large metropolis of Auburn. It's in between Seneca Falls and Syracuse.
Oh, nice. Well, Seneca Falls is beautiful. And I will be completing the tour in Canandaigua, New York at Amazing Mind, Body, and Soul Center. And I am just so grateful that these venues have accepted what sounds like an out-of-towner to come back into this upstate New York area, and just everybody's been so gracious, and I'm just so excited. So whether you're a medium or you've never experienced that, even better, like come and see what it's all about. Especially even if you're like a non-believer and you like, I embrace that energy too, just come in and see it, feel that energy. Just even if you're just need to, raise your vibrational energy of what maybe you're in a space where it's just like you need to elevate that energy, and working in this divine energy just raises that vibration on its own. So it's amazing. Like I walk into a lot of metaphysical stores, I feel like the owners of these places, a lot of times they do that for that reason. They just, I mean, I know the one down here, it's like you don't even have to buy anything. Of course they want you to, right? But it's like they want you to leave there feeling a certain way. And that's
Right.
how I feel about here in my own studio. I know you guys can't see around right now, but like when I walk into this space, or anybody that comes into the space, because this is also where I see my patients as well, I want the people to feel like, and I want everybody to leave the events feeling the same way. At least that's what I hope for them. Can't control that. That's out of my control. But to be a part of that and to be able to open that divine channel for people to have that and be able to live in that divine energy is just, I feel like that alone is just such a great gift to give yourself. So if anything, like invest in yourself and doing that, and really asking for that. You can just do that on your own, even like just asking for your spirit guides to come forward and protect you and guide you. And, we all have that capability. Or even if you're feeling like, I've had a lot of people lately, maybe it's just because we've had a lot of local storms. This is, rainy season, hurricane season in Southwest Florida, but it brings up a lot of energy, right? Storms can be scary sometimes. And sometimes it brings up a lot. And I tell people, I said, if you're feeling an energy, command it to go. You are truly in charge. Like some energies, you don't need sage, you don't need Palo Santo. You just say, you know what? Thanks for coming. Thanks for your teachings, but you got to go. Like you're not welcome here anymore. Like that energy is it's not in alignment with mine. You have to go. And I will literally, I felt that energy today, even in my studio. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. Like wherever you came from, it's time to go. And they do, they dissipate. So we're definitely in control of those things.
Right. Well, I wanted to say that you're doing gallery style
Hmm.
reading. So, depending on how big the room is, it could be anywhere from 10 to 30 people.
Hmm.
So it's just not a one-on-one. And again, they can find you on Facebook because I think you posted the locations on your Facebook page,
I
but
did.
also the information when we get your website on your article, that information
Mhm.
will be, they can link to your website and then also check that out. And I know Kim, who's setting this up, I think she uses Eventbrite.
Yes, everything is listed on Eventbrite. You can either go to my website on Facebook, and click on under events, and it will bring you directly to the Eventbrite to get your tickets there. We did cap all of the venues off at 15 because I do actually go around the room. So I know some of the mediums I've been to, like they'll pinpoint certain people and some people don't get a read. I work a little bit differently. I want everybody to leave with something. So even if you haven't lost someone, I still open up the floor for your guides to come forward. So everybody will leave with something that evening. Okay. I open up that door and that channel for everybody to come in. I want you all to know that I'm going to create a sacred circle for all of us. And whether there's 2 people there or 15 people, I mean, great. It would be great for 15 people to come forward and be able to deliver these messages to. But I do go around the room to every individual in that room. So that's why we are capping it. So that everybody gets something and they're not there for like 4 hours, right? And then I don't burn out because I call it like flatlining. So at the
Mhm.
end of a day, if I've done like, especially when you do psychic, psychic fairs, a lot of times you're going boom, 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 back and forth, and you have to protect your own space, right, in your own energy field. So I definitely tell myself, I'm like, I can tell. It almost feels like when your blood sugar is going low, and I'm like, ooh. But yeah. So just know that if you do, if you're like, oh well, if I'm going to go to this event, am I really going to get something out of it? Yes, you will. I promise you that you will leave with something.
All right. Well, good to know.
Yeah.
So I think we've covered everything. It's been really nice chatting. Hopefully, I'll see you when you're up in my neck of the woods in the next
Yeah.
few weeks. So I guess we'll sign off and say thank you. And I'm going
Thank you.
to hit the stop button. So don't go away, but we'll just say thanks to everybody. And
Thank you.
hopefully, everybody has a wonderful summer.
Thank you for having me.